This mutation is Dark Ritual, and it is being played on Temple of the Past. We have 2 mutators active. We have Power Overwhelming, and we have Speed Freaks. We are playing with Stukov and Kerrigan over here, which is an interesting combination. Stukov is really good against the Power Overwhelming Mutator, because his units are free, first off. If you're going for a bunker build, it means that you don't end up really losing any minerals due to any of the enemies that end up killing your units. Additionally, what happens with Stukov is he tends to force the enemy units to use their abilities and spam them on your army. So usually what ends up happening is that they draw from their global energy pool, because that's how the Power Overwhelming Mutator works, and end up having no energy. So Kerrigan can probably then move in and deal with the enemy units, and they're not going to be able to skill her because they don't have any energy left over. If you want to learn more about how this mutator works, you can visit Starcraft2coop.com and go to the mutators page, and you can check the Power Overwhelming Mutator to learn more about the global energy pool system that this mutator operates with. We have over here very standard builds for Kerrigan and for Stukov. Stukov is going for he's built his proxy command center right here, and he's putting down his barracks here. So I'm pretty sure he'll be going for his standard bunker build, which is pretty much to be expected. Kerrigan over here has made a few links, so I'm assuming she will be going to use those links and clear the expansion. So there is a small scout over here by our Stukov player, and he realizes that the attack composition is Terran, which is very useful to know as well. Zerg does give Stukov a little bit of a problem. I believe Terran and Protoss, I think, are a little bit easier. I think Terran might be the easier one for Stukov to deal with. I'm not really too sure in terms of the bunker builds. But it is definitely one of the more ideal compositions for Stukov. There are less units, and they're a little bit more tanky, but slightly less annoying to deal with if you have your detection set up over there. So we have Air Terran, which is probably one of the lesser ideal compositions for Stukov, to be honest. Stukov does kind of end up having to... He ends up like struggling to deal with such an air composition, because the bunkers, while they might be okay, the air units are armored for the most part, and end up having to struggle a little bit. But we do have a bunker that has come out now for Stukov, and these infested are going to start messing with the AI. But Kerrigan is already on site, and she is ready to clear this attack wave. So we're going to see how these players are going to play, if they're going to be playing aggressively and try and clear these lanes, or if they're going to try and play defensively, which will probably lead to a harder game, because eventually what's going to happen is that the Amon's units are going to start putting down static defenses along these edges in the form of bunkers and missile turrets. So it may make the game a little bit more difficult for the commanders if they do not end up all clearing the lanes. Time Warp does go down on these infested, which ends up killing them off, but again, that means that there is less energy in the global energy pool for these units to use. And Apocalypse comes down here to try and deal with this wave. It'll have no problems dealing with that. And is the Apocalypse going to sit here? I think Kerrigan is still trying to clear her expansion. Yeah, she's still trying to clear that expansion there. I'm not sure where her lings are. I think they probably ended up dying to the attack wave. I think she probably used them to deal with the attack wave, and they ended up dying there. Kerrigan is focusing on this expansion here. Just wants to clear that and take her expansion at some point. Stukov has already taken his... he's cleared his main rocks. He's left his gas rocks up. I don't know if Stukov wants to take his gas rocks at some point or just leave them up. It really depends on whether he's going for anything more than the bunker build. If you're usually only doing a bunker build, then it's probably not worth taking up your gas rocks unless you want to give it to your ally, because Stukov doesn't really need the extra gases. Kerrigan is going to move over here, and I think she wants to get the Zenith Stone, but more importantly, there's an attack wave here, and you kind of got to be careful with these attack waves because Speed Freaks is active. It does mean that the attack waves do get to the temple a lot faster, so if you're not in position, if you're not expecting an attack wave to spawn and the attack wave just comes up and makes its way towards the temple, it's going to reach the temple really fast, and it can blindside you if you're not paying attention. But I believe both the players want to do this bonus objective over here. So I think the next thing that should spawn is a Void Thrasher. But nope, there's another attack wave over here. So there's a yoink on one of the infested. I'm not really sure why they did that. An SCV, I think, that comes over here to try and repair this Viking, which is interesting synergy. These Vikings are landed, so they end up getting focus fired down by the bunkers. We get an infrastructure just to clean up whatever's left of the Vikings. Kerrigan's on this side, DPSing the Sandstone down. I believe the Void Thrasher should spawn sometime around now. So overall should be okay over here, but again, we have a storm that comes down on these on this infested, ends up wiping that small infested clump here, but that's okay. As long as Amon's units are using their abilities on these infested, it means that your more valuable units do not end up getting used, do not end up getting skilled on by the units. That's actually kind of funny. I think casted a barrier on it, which is that is absolutely hilarious. And Void Thrasher has a barrier on it, which ended up making it a little bit more tanky. But we have an infrastructure that comes down one of these bunkers. These broodlings, though, are aggroing this other bunker that's on this side. And some of the SCVs that have come in to try and repair. This is exactly why I was saying that it's very important to try and clear these lanes. Because, yeah, the SCVs will come up and they will try and repair bunkers. And because you're dealing with an air comp, sometimes what can happen is the SCVs will move over and try and repair the attack wave that's coming up there. So, Stukov now wants to try and push into this side, but I think it's a little bit too late because now the other lanes are going to start getting active and they will start spawning air units. So you can see over here, the Banshees pretty much one-shot, well, they didn't really one-shot, but there's a lot of DPS that's coming out on this side. That one missile turret might be enough, but these bunkers are starting to get focus fired down by some of the Marines. They end up surviving on this side. Over here, Kerrigan has a bunch of Hydralisks, which is good. I do not believe she has any Nice Worms yet. The Nice Worms are probably going to give her the mobility that she needs to be able to move these Hydralisks in and out of certain positions, keep them alive as well. So let's see what we have over here. Stukov is going to be fortifying this position with a large number of missile turrets. So these missile turrets are good combined with the bunkers. I think they will help provide not only detection, but they will also allow the extra DPS over here to deal with the air composition. Unfortunately, their attack waves are coming on both sides. So we're going to have a look here at how Kerrigan is able to deal with this relatively easily. Over here we have an Alexander that comes down over here. And on this side, we get a black hole on the Hydralisks over there. We have an immobilization wave that gets cast over here, which instantly one-shots the attack, which is really, really good. And Hydralisk clean up whatever's left on that side. Alexander is parked on here, and Stukov is starting to push through. You can see how he's slowly starting to break through here. This is actually good. Being able to clear these lanes is very, very important, so that's good on Stukov that he wants to try and clear these sides. We have an Apocalypse that has also come down over here. He's trying to chase that SCV, but that SCV is way too fast. We have an attack wave here. Essentially, Stukov's Alexander should have no problem dealing with that side. Over here, we have a Seeker Missile that comes down on that Hydralisk. Hydralisk gets split at the very last second. Really nice split there. And ends up saving that Hydralisk. Or ends up saving the rest of his army, sacrificing the Hydralisk. The Hydralisk took one for the team. Over here, these units are just aggroed to some of the infested that have spawned over here by Stukov. Stukov doesn't really care, as I said earlier. There are some cloaked units that have spawned in the attack wave over here, but again, no real big deal. I believe Stukov will have some infested to be able to deal with it. If not, the Banshees will run out of energy and eventually get focus fired down by the infested that are there.
Our forces are under attack.
We have a storm coming down here on some of the infested units. Yeah, there are a lot of Vikings and a lot of Banshees over there. I think Stukov might want to have some kind of detection just to make it a little bit easier if he intends on, you know, supporting his kind of army over here. So we have a black hole and a time warp that comes down, and a Seeker Missile as well. But as you can see, the energy pool is getting drawn out, and you'll eventually find these units will not skill Stukov's army, which is good. This means every single skill you see that comes down on Stukov's army is a skill that is not really coming down on your more valuable units like Kerrigan's army here. So that is actually really good. I'm not sure what that red dot is. I think there's probably one unit that's just like kind of glitched over there that's not really moving forward. We have 2 time warps and a black hole that comes down and a storm. You can see over here, Kerrigan's Hydralisk, like there's just one storm left over and then Radiate. But overall, like really, it's really good that Stukov is absorbing all of that energy, because Otherwise, it'll end up on Kerrigan's army, and Kerrigan's army is relatively fragile. You can just imagine what a black hole and a seeker missile will do to a bunch of hydralisks. I say that because I speak from experience. There's no split there on the hydralisk, so that 3 hydralisks have gone down in that in there. But overall, Kerrigan's doing okay. So Stukov has, I'm not sure if he's taken out that command center or if that area is going to be rebuilt, but he is moving his infested towards the side now to try and push this lane. Again, really useful for Stukov to do that, so he's dropped his Apocalypse down here to just try and clear these structures and weaken these bases. The other thing to note also is if you're playing up against Terran, they will nuke you on this map. Although it is a little bit later, I think it's about a 15-minute mark. So clearing these sides and clearing up the Ghost Academies is also really important. I think there's a Ghost Academy on the top lane on this side somewhere around here. There's an airdrop that comes up over here now, and Stukov has very cleverly put his overlords around this temple, so they end up getting aggroed by the Viking and not the temple itself. That is one thing you can do, especially when you're up against swarmy Zerg compositions as well, which are really nasty for making a beeline for the temple and suiciding their Scourge into the temple, and you end up losing the game because you were not really paying attention. So putting your overlords over there is really nice. It's a really smart way of doing this, and just allowing your overlords to just soak up some of the damage. Yeah, you do end up getting you do end up losing a little bit of your supply cap, but it does keep the temple safe over here. A bunch of Banshees that are here that are annoying Stukov's units, but we have an Overseer here for Kerrigan, and Kerrigan will be able to detect some of the cloaked Banshees. Secret Missile comes down in the middle of the infested wave, and there's another one there that gets focused on one of the Hydralisks, I believe. And then we have a black hole as well. I think all these infests are going to get drawn into that black hole. And that could have been catastrophic there for Stukov's army, because there was a psionic orb that was targeted at that black hole. So yeah, once in a while there will be a synergy there that will just completely destroy you, and usually it involves black hole and some kind of damage dealing ability. I've seen black hole Irradiate, I've seen black hole Seeker Missile, and I've seen black hole Yamato Cannon, which are all really nasty really nasty combos.
Our forces have met the enemy. Evolution complete.
So this other Void Thrasher now will be taken out by Stukov without any problems. Stukov over here just harassing this final side here. I still think that Stukov should take another visit in this area and have a look to make sure there's no SCVs that have been sneaked away, because I have a feeling that if SCVs see an army unit, they will try and run away and they'll hide in some corners of the map, and sometimes if you're not really paying attention, the SCV will then start rebuilding everything, and it can make it feels really bad when you come back and you realize everything's been rebuilt because you kind of missed one SCV. So if I were Stukov, I'd try and just have a look there as well, see if there's everything that's been reconstructed. Stukov's little army bush has essentially died off there. Secret Missile comes down on the infested, gets a few of the infested units over there, but again, no real big deal for Stukov. All these units are essentially free, so eventually he's just going to go and push through. There's that Ghost Academy I was talking about, which will end up nuking you. We have a black hole on the Hydralisk, but again, immobilization wave, really powerful immobilization wave there for Kerrigan. It essentially wipes out all the air units that are accompanying these hybrids. So only the hybrids are left over, and they'll end up getting cleaned up by the Hydralisks on this side. So Stukov has completely cleared this side.
Our allies are in combat.
There's one last side left. At least one side to explore. I'm not sure if Stukov was able to clear that side entirely, but I do see some structures on here which might be interesting to check out. So we have another airdrop over here. A stasis comes down on one of Stukov's bunkers. Infest structure on their bunker over here, and there is a Seeker Missile on one of these Hydralisks right in the middle of the wave. So that ends up killing off a few of the Hydralisks here. But I think Kerrigan is doing okay. She does have a small army of Hydralisks, but they are relatively sufficient enough to deal with this wave. Stukov is able to deal with the drop over here. One of the Hydralisks gets yoinked forward, and another Seeker Missile comes down the Hydralisk there. Ends up killing off another 3 or 4 Hydralisks. This attack wave has spawned here, and again, the bunkers combined with the missile turrets should be able to make short work of that. The temple is getting attacked by a bunch of Vikings here, but they tend to aggro that Overlord here. So again, this is why the Overlords are kind of useful to have around the temple. It does mean that Amon's units need to focus fire them down first before they take out the temple, which does make the mission a little bit easier, especially when you're dealing with a very nasty mutator set. Cloak Banshees drop a psionic orb here, but there's detection now for Stukov, and those Banshees get cleaned up on this side. Another drop comes down here, but again, tons of bunkers here, no problem for Stukov or Kerrigan. Another drop here, and again, we have a barrier. That's actually really funny. Barrier on the Viking gets taken out eventually. Should be some more drops. I don't know if I missed one drop. I might have missed one drop. Yeah, I think I missed one of the drops there. So you can see over here, Stukov is getting ready to deal with this Void Thrasher. Kerrigan is still over here though. She should be making her way towards that next spawn over here. The Void Thrasher will spawn on this side. There's an attack that will be coming up here, and I think Stukov. Okay, so Stukov's out of that. He drops the Apocalypse down. This Apocalypse is not going to be enough to deal with this attack wave, so he's probably going to want to put down an Alexander here to deal with this. Because this will be giving him a little bit more problems, because the Apocalypse doesn't really have really strong anti-air. It has those cluster missiles, which are very useful, but there is a relatively long cooldown. Now, Stukov has dropped his Alexander, so he's able to mind control his battlecruisers, which is very, very good. Kerrigan, I think, ended up losing her Hydralisks there to some of the attack waves. There's an Irradiate on Kerrigan. Kerrigan will be able to clear this side without any problems. Stukov is just ready to deal with the attack waves that will spawn on this side. So there's the attack wave here, 2 storms, and the time warp comes down, and a black hole here. But Kerrigan is going to be in for a very hard time with this attack wave, because this attack wave is really nasty, and the Banshees can actually catch up with Kerrigan because they have the speed freak. So down goes Kerrigan, and Stukov is on this side dealing with this attack wave. This attack wave is making its way towards Kerrigan's base. That is nowhere near to enough Hydralisks to deal with that wave. So Stukov rearranges a Psi emitter to try and deal with this side. He does put down a lot of missile turrets here. That's actually a really good proactive play for Stukov. Not only will the missile turrets be able to deal with the air units, but it will draw aggro of the ground units as well. These hybrids will aggro these missile turrets, and yeah, they will take them down, but it'll keep the temple alive. And at the end of the day, that is the goal of the mission. Eventually, Stukov is able to push through, but there is an attack wave that will be coming up this side now. So Raven goes down, and the missile turrets deal an insane amount of damage to the air hybrids. So these hybrids are going to go down so relatively quickly. And there are a lot of Banshees that are focusing Kerrigan down. Kerrigan decides to run away, and we have another attack wave coming up here. And there's also an attack wave down on the central lane, which is going to be a little bit of a problem. There are a lot of battlecruisers. This is actually a really, really strong attack wave. So I just want to really quickly check over here. These things are getting aggroed by some of the infested units. We have a bunch of battlecruisers on here. Cloak Banshee over here, but this will go down relatively quickly. We have a ton of battlecruisers here though, and they have actually ended up taking out a lot of the bunkers. We have an immobilization wave that comes down, but I think it's a little bit too late. Those bunkers, like these things are not getting damaged now by the infested, but yeah, Stukov has rearranged the Psi emitter now, and those things will go down. And then we have the other attack wave that is here on this side, but I believe the temple will be defended by that time, because I think these battlecruisers will not be able to take out that temple there. There we go. That is GG.